"You are not invited to Thanksgiving this year," my parents snapped. My sister said, "Please try to stay away. I don't want you to ruin our event, and if you do end up showing up, it will end badly." Dad added, "Some people just don't belong at family celebrations." I said fine quietly, while transferring the $8,000 holiday fund I had sent back into my account and canceling the Chalet reservation in their name. By morning, they showed up at my house and broke my door, and when they saw me, they ended up beating me up. Mom grabbed me by the hair, dragging me to the phone and shouted, "Make that payment now." But they didn't know I had cameras, so what I did next left them speechless. I never thought my family would betray me like this, but here I am, telling you the story that changed everything between us forever. My name is Sarah, and this happened last November. Looking back, I can see all the warning signs I ignored for years. But sometimes you don't realize how toxic people are until they show their true colors. I'm 32, a software engineer, and make around $120,000 a year. For the past 5 years, I've been the one funding our family's holidays. Every Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, I'd send between $3,000 to $8,000, covering food, decorations, and venue rentals. Over those years, I spent around $52,000. My parents, Linda and Robert, have been struggling since Dad's business collapsed 3 years ago. Emma, my 28-year-old sister, is married to Mike with 2 young kids, Tyler and Sophia. But things started to shift. Emma, who'd always made passive-aggressive comments about my single, career-focused life, began making things difficult. "Some of us actually have real families," she'd say. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was just stress from her kids and marriage. But it got worse. The requests for money turned into expectations, and they started making detailed lists of what I should buy for holidays. When I suggested others contribute, Dad would get angry, saying, "We raised you. This is the least you can do." The breaking point came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. I had already sent the $8,000 holiday fund to Mom's account and booked a chalet in the mountains. It was a beautiful place, 5 bedrooms, a hot tub, stunning views. I was excited. But then Emma called on a Tuesday evening. Her voice was cold. "Sarah, we need to talk about Thanksgiving." I thought she was joking. "What do you mean I'm not invited? I'm the one who paid for everything. Listen, Sarah, this is my first Thanksgiving hosting as a mother, and I want it to be perfect for my kids. Every year you show up and make everything about you. You correct Mom's cooking. You monopolize conversations with your work stories. You bring negative energy." I was stunned. "Emma, when have I ever made anything about me? I literally pay for everything and try to help." "That's exactly the problem. The way you throw money around like it makes you better than us. My kids don't need to see that behavior." I felt sick. "But Emma, I'm not throwing money around. I contribute because I want us to have nice holidays." "Well, we don't need your money anymore. Mike got a promotion. We can handle our own family dinner." Then Sarah's mother and father added their voices. "You've become difficult to be around," Mom said. "You've turned our holidays into expensive productions." Dad's voice was stern. "Some people just don't belong at family celebrations." It was clear now. My own sister and parents had cast me out like I was nothing. "Fine," I said quietly, holding back tears. But as soon as I hung up, my anger grew. If they wanted to treat me like an ATM, I would show them what they were losing. I moved the $8,000 back into my account and canceled the chalet reservation. Within 30 minutes, I had pulled every cent back. They wanted me gone? Fine. They could figure out their own Thanksgiving plans. But they had other ideas. Thanksgiving morning, I was woken by aggressive pounding on my front door. I peeked through the peephole. My whole family was there. Mom, Dad, Emma, Mike, even the kids. They were furious. "What are you doing here?" I called through the door. "Open the door, Sarah. We need to talk," Mom shouted. "No, we can talk through the door. You made it very clear I wasn't welcome," I shot back. "Open up or I'll break it down," Dad threatened. I couldn't believe this was happening. "You can't threaten to break into my house. I'm calling the police." "You're not calling anyone. Open this door now." Dad's voice cracked as he slammed his shoulder into the door. I could hear the door splintering as they tried to force it open. Finally, it gave way. I watched in horror as my father, the man who had once helped me with homework, broke into my house. Mom and Emma were cheering him on. I backed away, heart pounding. "You need to leave. You just broke into my house. This is illegal." "We don't care," Dad snapped. "You're going to fix this." I couldn't believe it. "No, I'm not. You told me I wasn't welcome." That's when Emma slapped me across the face. My own sister. I was in shock. "You deserve worse than that," she spat. Dad grabbed my arm and squeezed it hard enough to leave bruises. "You're going to fix this right now." Terror washed over me, but I had a plan. I had security cameras installed after a break-in in my neighborhood. Everything was being recorded, every word, every action. As Mom yanked my hair, I discreetly pressed the panic button under my kitchen island. The police were on their way. As the chaos continued, I felt my heart race. My parents and sister were so far gone in their anger and entitlement that they didn't even notice the tension building in me. Dad's face was red, veins popping as he gripped my arm, squeezing tighter. Emma stood behind him with a smug expression like she had won. "Where's your phone?" Dad demanded. "I'm not giving you my phone," I said, struggling to get free from his grip. "Give it to me." He twisted my arm behind my back, making me cry out in pain. I was terrified. They were crossing a line I never thought they'd cross. Mom came over and yanked my hair, pulling my head back painfully. "Unlock your phone. We need to fix this now." Her fingers dug into my scalp, and she dragged me over to the living room, where Dad was waiting with the phone in his hand. "I'm not unlocking it," I replied, my voice shaking. "Unlock it now," Dad shouted, twisting my arm even more. "You've ruined everything, and you're going to fix it." But the truth was, I wasn't going to fix anything. They had made their choice. The cameras were still recording, capturing every violent word, every abusive action. But it wasn't just the cameras that would hold them accountable. I had installed a panic button system 6 months ago, after a string of break-ins in my neighborhood. It had a direct connection to both the police and a private security company. With my phone and my hands being controlled, I discreetly pressed the hidden panic button under my kitchen island with my knee. I bought time. The sirens were getting closer, but I knew it would take about 10 to 15 minutes for the police to arrive. Emma looked over at her kids, clinging to Mike's legs, terrified by the scene unfolding in front of them. "They need to see what happens when family members betray each other," she said coldly. I couldn't believe her. Was this really the same woman who used to play with me as kids? Who was now using her own children as pawns in this mess? The sound of sirens grew louder, and I knew it was almost over. I had done everything I could to protect myself. "What's that?" Mom asked, pausing for a moment and loosening her grip on my hair. "It's the police," Mike said, his voice shaky. Dad's eyes widened. "Sarah, what did you do?" he demanded. "I pressed my panic button when you started assaulting me in my own home," I said, my voice steady now. As the sirens stopped outside my house, the police were already on their way. They rang the doorbell and called through the door. "Police, open up," I responded. "It's open. The door's broken." 3 officers entered my house, their hands on their weapons, surveying the scene. "Ma'am, are you okay?" the lead officer asked. "No, I'm not," I replied, feeling a mix of disbelief and anger. "These people broke into my house and assaulted me." "That's not what happened," Dad immediately chimed in, trying to defend himself. "It's a family misunderstanding." "Sir, please don't speak unless asked a direct question," the officer cut him off. Then turning to me, he asked, "Ma'am, do you want to press charges?" "Absolutely," I said, not hesitating. My family was in shock. "Sarah, don't do this. We're family," Mom pleaded. I shook my head. "Family doesn't break down doors, beat people up, and demand money. That's not family." The officers started to separate everyone, taking statements. When I told them about my security system, they requested to see the footage. I accessed my security app and showed them the recordings, and they watched in disbelief. The footage was crystal clear. Dad breaking down the door, Emma slapping me, Dad hitting me twice, Mom pulling my hair, all the threats, all the demands for money, they were all there, documented in HD. This is clear footage of breaking and entering, assault, battery, and harassment, the lead officer said. We're going to need to arrest all adults involved. I wasn't sure what was worse, the violence itself or the fact that this had all been my family. After the police arrived and took statements, I was left in a daze. My heart was still racing from everything that had just happened, but I knew that the worst was over. The damage was done, and my family's true nature had been revealed. Mike's parents arrived to take Tyler and Sophia, and they were horrified when they learned what had happened. Mike's dad even apologized on behalf of their family. We've been worried about Emma's behavior lately, but never imagined it would escalate to this. In the hours that followed, the officers documented everything. The broken door, the bruises on my arms, and my split lip from Dad's backhanded slap. The security footage captured every vile moment. Dad, Mom, and Emma were all arrested and charged. Mike, who hadn't physically participated but had entered my house illegally, was also charged with criminal trespass. The court case was long, but the consequences for my family were swift. Dad pleaded guilty to breaking and entering, assault, and battery. He was sentenced to 4 months in county jail, 2 years probation, and had to pay restitution for my door and medical bills. Mom received 2 months in jail and probation. Emma was charged with assault, battery, and destruction of property. She got 60 days in jail, plus anger management and parenting classes. Mike got a plea deal for probation and community service. As my family faced their consequences, I focused on rebuilding my life. I spent the next few months documenting everything, making copies of the security footage, and going through my financial records. I calculated just how much I had given them over the years. $52,000. I couldn't believe how much I had sacrificed for people who thought I was selfish for wanting respect. I posted the security footage on social media, along with a detailed explanation of what had happened. I didn't post the parts where they hurt me, but I did post the audio of them calling me names, demanding money, and threatening me. The response was overwhelming. Friends, co-workers, extended family, and even strangers were horrified by what they saw. The story spread quickly. Local news stations picked it up, and my Aunt Carol, Dad's sister, called me crying. I never realized how bad it had gotten, she said, apologizing for her brother's actions. Several cousins reached out, sharing their similar experiences with my parents. The most devastating blow came when Emma's in-laws saw the footage and filed for emergency temporary custody of Tyler and Sophia. The family court granted it, and Mike's parents got custody. The judge ruled that Emma's violent tendencies and poor judgment were a danger to the children. As time passed, things only got worse for my family. Dad's general contractor's license was suspended due to his felony conviction, meaning he couldn't work on most construction projects. Mom's career in the school district was also affected. She was placed on administrative leave and faced limited career advancement. Emma's nursing license was suspended, and Mike lost his job. The court case took 8 months to resolve, but the ripple effect of their actions was just beginning. Mike eventually started dating someone new, and Emma's marriage was falling apart. She moved back in with my parents, who had to declare bankruptcy and move to a senior living facility in a cheaper state. Meanwhile, I thrived. The support I received from friends and even strangers was incredible. I received job offers from companies impressed by how I handled the situation. My boss even promoted me, saying the experience demonstrated my character and resilience. I bought a new door for my house, solid oak with smart locks and a video doorbell, and installed additional security measures. I was finally living in a home that felt like a sanctuary. 3 months later, I ran into Emma at the grocery store. She looked awful, unwashed hair, worn-out clothes, and dark circles under her eyes. She started crying. "Sarah, please, I need to talk to you." I didn't stop, but she followed me. "I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I miss my kids, and Mike won't let me see them without supervised visits. I've lost everything." I stopped in the cereal aisle and looked at her. "Emma, you didn't lose everything. You threw it away. You had a family who loved you, and you decided that wasn't enough." "I know. I messed up. Can't you forgive me?" she pleaded. "No," I replied, my anger flaring. "You lost your children when you decided I wasn't good enough for your family. You lost them when you chose money over family. You lost them when you taught them that violence is an acceptable response." She grabbed my arm, but I pulled away immediately. "Don't touch me." I shook my head. "You said you didn't need my money anymore. Mike could handle it. You said I threw money around to make myself feel better than you." Her face crumpled, and she looked like she was about to beg more, but I had no sympathy left. "I'm not going to bail you out anymore, Emma. You need to take responsibility for your actions. This is your mess, and you need to clean it up." "I can't fix it," she sobbed. "Please help me." "No," I said firmly. "You need to solve your problems without expecting me to fix them. You've lost the right to ask me for anything." As I walked away, Emma didn't follow. It was over. This was 18 months ago. Since then, things have settled down for me. I'm thriving, surrounded by people who value me for who I am. My family, on the other hand, is paying the price for their actions. Emma's parental rights were terminated after a year of legal battles. She was arrested again for harassment, and now she's living in a halfway house, working at a gas station. My parents have lost everything. They've been forced to downsize their lives after their bankruptcy, and my father's construction career is over. As for me, I've built a new life. I bought a new car, took a vacation to Europe, and started dating someone I really like. I've been promoted twice at work, and I'm being considered for a management position with a salary increase. But the most important thing I've learned through all this is that family doesn't mean you have to accept abuse. I've found a chosen family, friends who value me for who I am, not for what I can provide. And the best part, I'm never going back to being anyone's ATM.